Welcome to Nerd Hollow. Welcome to Nerd Sports Zone, everybody. This is episode 8. We're cruising along. Preseason football is back, baby. NFL football is back. There's a whole lot to talk about. Yesterday we actually got to see, over the past couple days, we got to see some preseason football of some teams around the league that have very young quarterbacks that have been highly anticipated to watch after the NFL draft. So, the subjects today. Barrett is going to be back. He's going to be talking about these with me and John. We're going to be talking about what our thoughts are so far, what kind of our expectations are. We're going to be talking about the Colts injury updates. We're going to be talking about most fantasy-friendly offenses that we see at this point. We're going to see and discuss some of the least friendly offenses that we're seeing. Sought-after players we're trying to stay away from, and we're going to have one hell of a time together, too. So get something to drink, and let's get into it. With that being said, let's go, boys. Let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
Ooh-wee!
Hey.
All right. What's going on, fellas? How are we feeling today?
Feels great. Thank you for having me on.
Weekend. It's my weekend officially. Let's go. Ooh, he's got the Rays.
I got the new flavor of Raised Energy before we go in. It's called Rainbow. There's zero sugar, carbs, calories, artificial dyes in this. It's really good. I actually really do enjoy it, and there's no crash with it. So check out Raised Energy at some point in it.
Get some help.
Stop it. And we are going to stop it. We're gonna jump right into it. Yeah, it's the sponsor I reached out for the stream.
Shout out.
They're actually really good. So let's just jump right into it, fellas. So we've had some awesome preseason football to watch over the last couple of days. We've seen some sought-after performances that people have been chomping at the bit to see. So let's just get right into it. So, John, I haven't gotten to spend a whole lot of time with you because we've both been very busy. What have you been doing, and what did you think of the preseason football that you've seen so far? And then we'll go into the more specific topics of preseason.
Yeah, man, just been busy with work. I'm still balancing that new work life, but just been busy. Even haven't been streaming, but I'm gonna make time for this because this is something special to me. So, doing that, watching. I watched my game. I watched my boys play last night. That was a good time. I think Barrett said he saw it too.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Yeah. So we watched the Chargers play last night. That was the only game I really paid attention to, strongly. And I liked what I saw. I liked what my team had to offer. It's preseason, but after the first one, I like our coaching scheme right now.
I like that thought a lot because right now, even as a Vikings fan, they lost 33-6 to the Broncos yesterday. It was a tough game. They didn't play any other starters majorly at all, so I'm not too worried. But the 33-6 score does jump out a little bit, and it's a little concerning, if I'm being completely honest. But I'm not panicking because it is preseason, and a lot of these coaches are just trying to figure out who works for the team and who doesn't, and if they're going to make the roster or not. So I think that not every player is an absolute legend in the NFL. So I think that they got a lot of tough decisions to make, and as much as they don't want to break these guys' hearts of being a professional NFL football player, we're at a point where it's preseason. It's time to try to make the roster. So they're going to start playing these second, third string practice squad guys to figure out who they want to keep around. So I like what you were saying. It's preseason, but it still matters. So I agree. John, speaking of the Vikings and Broncos, we got Barrett from Red Zone Fantasy Football, future podcast coming in the works. Barrett, what are you feeling on what you saw so far, and are you enjoying that football's back?
Oh, I'm totally enjoying that football's back. I missed it so much. I love what the Broncos are doing. It was cool to see, even with our backups, that we were able to do very, very well against the Vikings.
Yeah.
I was really worried about Drew Lock. I was worried to see what he was going to be able to do. And then Teddy Bridgewater coming back to Minnesota. That was kind of cool to see as well. He got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
That was awesome. I was actually watching something on the Vikings app, and it was like a little video they did of Teddy coming back to Minnesota and just him like reminiscing of his time in Minnesota and how much he still loves the state and the city that he played for. So it was Teddy Bridgewater's a class act. So with all the general courtesies being said, I have loved that football's back. I've missed it. It's good to be actually getting to watch some football, even if it's preseason. Like even if it's not the best football that we're gonna see later in the year.
Size, it's a sample size.
Yeah, it's a good appetizer for us to get it back, and it feels good.
You still get to see some pretty good stuff. Like you just see like who gets on third downs and all that. Like who is the third down back and all that.
Mhm.
Like the Washington football team. Antonio Gibson didn't get a single third down snap.
Hell yeah! See, I love that because we were like, I just love the fact that you get to see where these guys are going to be, where they fit into the team, like how a team is going to use a certain player, and with that being said, how the team is going to use a certain player. Let's talk our quarterbacks that were highly anticipated to watch. So let's kind of go. Let's take our time, fellas. Let's have a good conversation about what our thoughts were from the highlights that we've seen. John's Googling all the stats up just in case we didn't get to see the game. I think all of us saw most of the performances, though, at least highlights.
You just tell me which one we talk about, and I'll pull it right up.
So let's stay in the NFC North to start. We saw two, and I forgot to mention one during prep. We saw two quarterbacks go. We saw Jordan Love, and we got to see Justin Fields. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts on like what you thought of Justin Fields and how he did for the Bears. Let's start with you, Barrett.
Justin Fields, he impressed me with what he could do. He did find a wide open Jesse James, so I mean I'm not discrediting that. It still counts as a touchdown. But
Yeah.
I thought that he was running faster than the game around him. Like it seems like he picked up everything.
Yeah.
And he wasn't lost in the lights like I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I agree. What was the stats, John, of that game?
Let's see, Justin Fields. Okay, so he threw 14 for 20. That's 70%. Threw for 142 yards, one touchdown. His longest throw was 30 yards.
It's pretty good for your first NFL performance, even if it is preseason.
He led him to a victory. 2013 got the win over the Miami
And the
Dolphins.
Miami defense is nothing to sneer at either.
No. Flores. That's coached by Flores. Some of the best defenses with the Patriots.
Stetson Myers in the chat says all Dolphins running backs are trending down by the way of committee by the looks of it. We'll get into that in a little bit with the value of players. So I thought Justin Fields looked pretty darn good for even for a preseason game. I thought he looked pretty solid, and that means a lot coming from me, obviously being an NFC North team.
You're a Bears fan.
I am a Vikings. I'm not a Bears fan. I'm a Vikings fan.
You are. You're feeling good. You're feeling good.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. If you're a Bears fan, you're feeling good about how your team performed yesterday. I think they were the only team in the NFC North that won their game. The Packers lost to the Texans. The Vikings lost to the Broncos, and the Lions lost their game too. So it's interesting to think about that. Justin Fields did really well in his first performance. Kellen Mond for the Vikings didn't really play bad, but he didn't play great. But there's potential there. But for me, Justin Fields exceeded my expectations of what he was going to do. I thought that, I'll be honest, going into this, I was a little skeptical because of him being an Ohio State quarterback. And obviously it is still preseason, but with how well he played, I think they're going in the right direction. I'll swallow my words. I'll say if I was wrong. I mean, it's all analysis. It's all looking back on things and seeing how the time of events changed, and Justin Fields balled out in his first performance. So, John, I think we asked Barrett first, right? So, John, what did you think of Justin Fields' performance?
Justin's field performance. He looked comfortable back there. Biggest takeaway for me was just his the the way he just fit in. He looked natural at it. Like
Hmm.
he's just no. Looks like he's been sitting back there for a year already. He looks comfortable.
Hmm. I agree. Any further thoughts on the Bears and Justin Fields?
I still want to see more on. I'm not completely sold yet. I did say, I'm not big on those Ohio State quarterbacks. I'll be the first one to say it. I try to avoid them at all costs, but it's still preseason. Let's give them some time. I'll eat my words when I'm ready.
Yep, I like it. Should Andy Dalton be afraid of what the position of his starting role is right now after a performance like that, or are we thinking that it's a little too soon to call that? We got three more do we have 2 or 3 more preseason games? I'm a little off with the new schedule.
I think we have three. No, two. I think they're the only ones that play 3 games.
Okay.
The ones who played the Hall of Fame game are the only ones that play 4. I think.
Okay. Fair enough. So, are we thinking that, should Andy Dalton be scared of losing his starting role, or is it still too early to call?
Well, Andy Dalton can still win games, so
Yeah.
I'm not like
Yeah,
he was a Bengals quarterback for what 8 years or something like that.
yeah,
So,
he's started in this league. He knows how to play football.
but like I do in my projections, I have Andy Dalton giving up the reins to Justin Fields by week 6. That's gonna be my timetable.
Week 6. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say the reins get handed over by week 7. I'm going 1 week longer. I'm gonna say week 7. The Bears give the reins to Justin Fields. John, how about you?
Week 3.
Week 3.
Week 3. They
I
pulled
like
the plug earlier.
So let's write that down then. So, okay.
I have them losing to the Rams. I have them winning against the Bengals. I have them losing to the Browns, and then winning against the Lions. And then Vegas is when the game switches over to Fields.
I think
Okay.
the Browns game.
I got you. I like
Or
it.
they play the Chicago. I'm trying to find the schedule, but I don't see it. If that Browns game is in Chicago?
Let's see here really quick.
I haven't seen the Bears schedule, to be honest with you.
It is at Cleveland.
Oh, it's at Cleveland. Nah, they
Yeah.
wouldn't pull the plug on at Cleveland. If they get booed at home, I think booed at home is a lot worse than that's when you feel the pressure to pull the plug.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to do something at that point when your own fans are booing you.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next guy. We got to watch the Jacksonville Jaguars last night, and Trevor Lawrence. I actually didn't get to see most of this game. I watched a little bit of the highlights. What were his official stats by the end of the game?
Yeah, his stats were 6. He threw for 9 at 9 throws, 6 of them completed, 66%. 35 yards was his longest one for an average for 71 yards.
I saw him take that sack, and then I had to go on a 911 call, so I didn't get to see much of that game, to be honest.
Yeah, Barry, you saw that game. What you think of it?
I thought that he did very well. Like that first play where he took the sack, he looked a little rattled, but other than that, like he delivered a very, very nice throw to Marvin Jones, I believe.
That was a
on the
nice
corner.
catch. I think that was a nice catch.
I did see
Their
that one.
connection's gonna be good. Their connection's gonna be good.
And I think it just give him some time and give him a little bit of momentum, something to actually get him going. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to take over this team like no problem.
Yeah, I think he's ready. From like the highlights that I got to see, he seemed like he took that sack, was a little rattled. I watched, like I said, I watched highlights. I mean, I know that's not watching the full game, but from what I saw, he recovered fine. He was in a good place mentally. Like just got back up on the horse. I thought he looked all right. No controversy in the quarterback room there. He's their guy. He's going to be starting. So we don't need to do predictions for that one.
Thank you, Minshew. It's been real.
Yeah, and that's sad. I think there's a place somewhere for Minshew. I mean, we've seen him play some good football.
Yeah,
Go to
definitely.
the Colts.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Why not?
I mean, we'll get into that when we talk about the Colts. Actually, I know you mentioned that earlier in prep, so we want to hear we want to hear that that thought and that hot take that you got, Bear. We want to hear that. So let's move on to the 49ers, where we officially have a competition, fellas. I don't know about you, but I want to start on this one. I actually got to watch most of this game when they did the rerun last night. The night kind of slowed down a little bit. I got to watch a little bit of this game when I was at work. Trey Lance played quite a bit of the game. And his first pass, I mean, it was play action. He did a kind of a short little pass to Brandon Ayuk, and it was a dart. Like, it was a good throw. And even the announcers were saying that, he should have caught it. Well, then we get a run play, and then we got that sack, and it was kind of like, okay, well, it's a little bit of a rough start, But then that next drive, it was like, what I appreciated about watching Trey play, it was just like watching Justin Fields. He was comfortable. He didn't get rattled. He took that sack, got back up. He didn't seem rattled by it. But what I was most impressed with was most quarterbacks get really pissed off when you drop a pass on that they threw to you. They get really upset, and especially when they know that you should have caught it. And that kind of happened in that first moment of that pass with Ayuk, and Trey Lance gave him a thumbs up, like, "Hey, we're all right. Like, we're in a good spot. Like, we'll get it back together." And then the next drive, he drops back, play action, drops an 80-yard pass to the tight end. I think some of the starting defense was still on the field too, which was really interesting because he felt the pressure. He stepped up out of the pocket, makes an 80-yard throw for a touchdown. Unreal. Like, this is what people expected from Trey Lance. This is what people knew he was capable of, and I was so glad to watch him do it because of the fact that he came from an FCS school. He came from NDSU. That's my boy, as John's saying. And for him to knock off the naysayers about, like, can this guy play at a higher level? I mean, all these guys are in the NFL, whether you're a second or third string or a starter. Like, all these guys are in the NFL for a reason. They've worked their tails off to get there. This guy can play at a higher level, and he's showing it. And I'm not going to lie. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo and I'm seeing this new guy have a game like that, I think Trey Lance had, a touchdown, 145 yards, and what was his pass attempts?
Let me go back to that. Dude, that was an 80-yard touchdown that he aired out. But he went 5 for 14. He threw some balls, but he was airing them out there. The 80 yards that touchdown was.
Yeah,
Total 120 yards thrown though. It was pretty good.
Right, not a perfect performance, but by any means. And I mean,
he's not going to be the most accurate rookie. Like,
yeah,
he really wasn't accurate for the most part, but
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the attempts to completions is somewhat concerning, but seeing how nice of a ball that he can throw at an NFL level, and that he can actually get the good reads downfield, play action, step up, feel the presence of people coming around him, and toss an 80-yard bomb. I think the 49ers are in a bit of a quarterback competition, more so than anyone else right now. I think this is up in the air. Barrett, I've talked enough about it. I was just really excited about that. So, Barrett, what did you think about Trey Lance's performance with the 49ers?
I love Trey Lance. I think that the accuracy is going to come over time, especially if he builds chemistry with these wide receivers, and he gets all of his starters out there. They have a great offensive lineman, so he's not going to get knocked around too often.
Yeah.
He also has great rushing upside. Like, that guy for fantasy football, once he's a full-time starter, I mean, that's a guy you can plug in on a one quarterback league and be fine with it every week. I have him starting week 7.
Week 7, okay.
Yep.
I think Trey Lance is going to start by week 10. I think it's going to be a later start, but, like, this is going to sound arrogant, and that's fine. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has a ton of hype around his name because of who he played behind in New England. I think that's followed him around to wherever he's gone. I've been at a game that's regular season, the Niners versus the Vikings, and the Vikings took care of business in that game. And not to mention, it like Garoppolo didn't really do anything in that game that was outstanding, and he did get hurt, like I think at some point in the game. But I think if I'm Garoppolo, start getting a little concerned of how long I'm going to be starting here, because I just don't think he lives up to the hype that is around his name, and I think that high level of presence is always going to follow him no matter where he plays. I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo is not a talented quarterback. Let me state that before I finish. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a super talented quarterback. I just think that there's some that are more talented than him. I think the hype that is built around Jimmy Garoppolo is the fact that he came from New England, that he played behind Tom Brady. So I think the expectation is extra high. So I'm saying week 10. John, what did you think of Trey Lance?
I like Trey Lance. I want him playing. This is different. It's a different change of pace, but from what I see, if I'm a 49ers fan, why isn't this guy like my week 1 starter? I'm already over.
Really? You're that high on him, huh?
Yeah, like dude, the guy is. It's and the type of league that we're in. Like, you have to be able to throw those bombs. You have to be mobile. You know, it's an extra thing they have to worry about. I'm excited for their play action. You know.
Yeah.
The play action is going to be ridiculous if you have Trey Lance behind the wheel. So if I'm a 49er fan, I'm pulling the trigger. Like, dude, just let's get him out there. Why not? Why wouldn't we have him starting? He's our future. Jim Garoppolo's out by next year anyway.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's just bygones be bygones.
Yeah. And it was like I got weird vibes when I was watching the game because so they were interviewing some of the front office guys from the 49ers, and they were talking about the situation between Trey Lance and between just overall the whole situation. They were talking about what the locker room presence is like right now, and it was an interesting conversation to hear because these guys were like just honest. They said, Jimmy is a class act. When we drafted, in the interview, they said when we drafted Trey Lance, he knew it was coming. He knows that some of these schemes have been written for Trey, and he knows it's a competition. And the first thing he asked us was do I have a shot at it? So he knows that he knew going into preseason that this was going to be a competition all the way through. And I think there's a respect level between him and Jimmy Garoppolo that I've probably never seen between a current starting quarterback and the guy that is going to come to probably take your starting spot. Like there's a really strange respect level between the two. Like they both understand the NFL's a business. They are both happy to be in San Francisco still. Like they're both being what I would say, I guess, professional adults and professional athletes about the situation. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air for me, actually. Like I don't know about you guys, but it's nice to see these guys actually just understanding that hey, this is part of being in the NFL. Like,
so John, when do you think he's gonna start then?
When do I think he's gonna
you said
start?
week 1, right?
I'm look at their schedule. Let me look. Does it seem feasible?
Well, take into account though, they made the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Sure.
So
they did.
Like he's.
But does also, as a 49er fan, do you realize that it was your defense that got you there? That you could have had any mid-level tier quarterback do the same. I feel.
I still think that he needs to learn how to operate in the NFL.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, that's why I don't have him going until week 7 after the bye week.
Okay. So if you say he still has to learn, why not just pull the plug on him already? Because guess what, Trey Lance has to learn too. Let's get him out there right now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna listen. You guys go. I want to hear what the thoughts are on this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Trey Lance needs to learn. Like he needs at least 6 weeks to sit behind and watch.
Sure.
Oh, so I think that there's a misunderstanding there. Were you saying?
Yeah, I think I got it. I think he's saying that Trey Lance needs to learn to catch up the speed of the NFL.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why he needs to wait until at least till the bye week.
I was confused. I think Mike caught that.
Yeah, I think because
Okay.
I think you said on accident, Barrett, that Jimmy needs to still learn the league. I think that or somewhere it got misconstrued.
Oh no, my
But
bad. No,
no,
Jimmy's already been to the Super Bowl. Jimmy is a veteran. Like he knows the NFL. He's actually
Yeah.
not a horrible quarterback. Like
no,
he
he's
did
he's
very well
quite
for
good.
them. So he's just the biggest thing with him is he gets injured every year. So
Yeah, I agree. Um, let's move on to Zach Wilson. I didn't see this game. I saw a little bit of the highlights, and then I had to go on a call. Fill me in, fellas. How did Zach Wilson do with the New York Jets? Because I got some thoughts on the Jets for later on in the show.
So Barrett, you watched that more than I did. I only saw highlights.
yeah, I that's the one that I didn't really pay attention to.
Okay.
To be honest,
Let me pull
I
up the
don't.
stats then. Let's take
Yeah,
a look.
I don't like the Jets at all. So
Oh, not a Jets guy. See, I'm a huge Rex Ryan fan.
I think that I'm more worried about Zach Wilson failing in the NFL than I am of any other rookie.
You're most worried about Zach Wilson.
Yes.
I like
Oh
that.
yeah, out of all the rookies, I think he is the one to be the bust.
Walk us through it. Why do you think that?
Small school. He didn't really go against top level competition. He had one good year,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I mean, he has a crazy good arm, but other than
Yeah,
that,
he's
like
got a cannon.
I really don't. Like I watched his training camp and all that,
Mm-hmm.
where he's underthrowing people and like
Oh,
if you have like Denzel Mims and he's 6'3" and runs a 4.3 and you can't get him the ball,
mm-hmm.
you're doing something wrong. Like
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I can see the obvious concerns for that. Yeah,
That's why.
I haven't seen too much on Zach Wilson myself. Like, I'll just own the fact on that. Like, I haven't seen too much of Zach Wilson, so I don't. I'm gonna say I'm gonna hold my thoughts for probably a future episode because
Hello there.
I haven't seen. Thanks to the sub game point. I haven't seen too much of Zach Wilson enough to to form an opinion yet. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I don't like to just rub my mouth on something that like, and then all of a sudden be like, wow, I should have never said that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to form a fair opinion on him. I want to give him a chance. I want to see how he plays because we know he's going to be starting for the Jets. We know this is his spot to lose.
Yeah.
I would love to see. I'd love to see where this goes. So, John, do you have any thoughts on Zach Wilson?
Well, he threw 6 for 9, 66%, 63 yards. The longest throw being 16 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Jets. I think it's a lateral movement.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Wilson is what do you have to lose? You had after the season you had last year, right? So
Yeah.
why not run this guy out there already? He's gonna be their starter, right? There's no question about that, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, I like his talent around him. I do like the talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
The rookies, is it Elijah Moore?
and he's actually injured. Elijah Moore is injured right now currently.
Oh, he is.
Oh,
Yeah, he might not be able to start week 1. So
I
Okay.
still like him for the future, though. Down the
oh
hall,
yeah,
I like the Jets. I like the Jets' talent. I like their coach, Robert Saleh.
hmm
Yeah, he's a good coach.
I don't think I have enough information on Zach Wilson to really give it a formal opinion on him yet. Like Mike said, but give me some time.
My
I
only
really like Corey Davis though. I really like Corey Davis a lot.
yes. My only thoughts on the Jets is, they've been through a lot for a while now, and they've been trying to figure things out. And I think getting Zach Wilson, a higher rated player in the draft from the combine, is a good start. But the Jets are known for having like these good starts, and then they kind of start to be stagnant and they
Well,
go down for a bit. You know what I mean? I think that's got to change. I think they made a head coaching change, they made a quarterback change. I think they're going in the right direction for everything, but I think the next steps in the next couple of years because they're not. I mean, I'd like to be pleasantly surprised, like where they shock the world, but like
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. But I think the next steps for the New York Jets at this point is going out in the next couple of drafts, getting some talent, signing some free agents that are going to be becoming available over the next couple of seasons because there's going to be some big names coming, and try to make some moves and try to try and get a team built. Try to get in the right direction. Like basically what I'm saying is do a Cleveland Browns.
It's fun to build
Like
because look what happened, right? Look what the Cleveland Browns did, and it finally paid off, right?
yeah, they're a good team
The
now.
recipe worked. The recipe worked. They got it right.
Mhm. Yep.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
Yeah, you don't ever want to see, especially for the fans, you don't ever want to see a team be in turmoil forever. You know what I mean? And I think everybody thought that about the Brownies for the longest time. I think everybody thought, when the crap is this team gonna ever get things figured out? And they finally are getting things figured out. And I think if the Browns can do it, I think any team can do it. I think the Jets just got to make a few more moves.
Man, the Lions need help too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Lions need some help. They need help for a while. So is there any other preseason subjects that you guys want to discuss while we're here?
Yeah, the Antonio Gibson third down, he wasn't even on a third down. J.D. McKissick took all the third down roles.
Okay.
So that kind of makes me worried about Antonio Gibson's role for fantasy. Currently, he's a second round pick. If he's not going to be in there in third downs, I don't know if I really want to pick him in the second round.
Yeah, I mean that can put Antonio Gibson's fantasy value at a high risk. I mean, hear me out. Maybe we could be at a point where the Washington football team knows that he's their guy, and maybe they don't want to like burn him out in preseason, which is a dangerous game to play because last year we didn't have preseason and we saw a lot of guys get hurt because we didn't have preseason. Like their bodies weren't ready for the level of competition that they were going into. No preseason led to a lot of injuries. So, I mean, do you think that plays into any of that, Barrett? Or
John, can you pull up how many rushing attempts he got? I think he got like 6 or 7 rushing attempts.
Talking Gibson?
Yeah, Antonio Gibson. I can see where you're talking about where they don't want to maybe like jeopardize him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a wide receiver in college.
Yeah.
So he does have the catching chops. It's just more of I'm worried about having Fitzmagic as the quarterback and him being able to check down to Gibson. Because
you went 5 for 15.
5 for 15. So you got 5 rushing attempts. Okay. Which is a good amount of work. Like he definitely not a bad number there, but
2 receptions for 14.
I'm sorry, what was that?
2 receptions for 14.
So he's still getting some of the reception chops, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're trying to work him in a little bit then. So maybe they have a different plan for him this year, which could really screw over fantasy players. But everybody thought this is the guy that is going to be unexpected to maybe like have a big role in the rushing competition this year. So, John, do you have any last-minute preseason thoughts that we are going to see? Callisto just pointed out the Colts just won in the final minutes of the game, so that's exciting.
Any last thoughts? Give me more. That's it. I need more. Give me more.
Give me more. Give me more, he says. I agree. I'm loving it. I'm loving having football back. My Red Sox, they're doing well. I'm having a good time with sports right now. Chris Sale's back in Boston. His pitching numbers were insanely good last night. And we needed that after like a 5 or 6, 7 game losing stretch. So it was the Yankees were kind of starting to take care of some business, and the Red Sox finally, I think they got
baseball.
Not for a long time. I just had to reference that because Chris Sale, his pitching was good. Sports is good right now. We got some good baseball going on. We got some awesome preseason football coming up. And then we've had some awesome preseason football, and we have more coming up, and we got the NFL full on regular season coming up. So I'm excited. Fans are back in the stands. It's a good feeling. I don't know. This is kind of a random thing. Did you guys? I noticed it right away. How did you feel about having the actual fan noise back?
Oh, it changes
Oh
everything.
my God, it was totally different, right?
Yeah, there's a home
Way
field
better.
advantage now. That's
Way
a real
better.
thing.
Yep.
What an experience.
I thought that about last year, for like the whole
Flat.
season, that
Which flat.
if like a lot of like even especially in Vikings games, if you guys have never been in US Bank Stadium, that stadium is so damn loud when the fans are scolding, right? When the fans are scolding. You know what? I'll just go ahead and
Shoot it together. Lead it. Lead it.
here, you can time it. All right, are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm doing it too.
I know how to do it.
You're a little behind. It's all right. You're a little behind, but it's okay, John. You'll catch it. So
On the skull.
Skull to the
On the
bowl,
skull.
baby. God, I missed that quote when they were having that good year. Skull to the bowl. That was good.
Skull to the
What
bowl.
what a waste. So yeah, I'm loving having sports back. I thought 100% that last year was tough with no fans in the stadium because that place is loud and it is wild. And when you can't communicate with your offense, it changes everything. I think it would have been a totally different season last year in every stadium. I don't know what I couldn't even tell you what the different outcome would have been last year. Last year could have been a totally different NFL season if we would have had fans in the stands, which I'm glad we didn't because of COVID. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it was just a weird year with no fans. I think that the outcomes would have been drastically different. So I'm excited to have them back.
It seems
I
like
agree.
these players have more like energy, more vigor, more.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be out there entertaining people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The fights are back in LA. I gotta love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Rams fans getting punched in the mouth by other Rams fans. That's self-team violence.
I love to see it.
Don't condone violence, but damn it, I love a good fight.
I've never seen LA versus LA and then like be in the same stadium and like almost killing each other.
You know, the Charger fans were there, but the Charger fans were just watching the Rams fans beat on each other.
That's a big don't when it comes to doing like don't fight with your own team.
The other team, fight the other team.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of don'ts, should we talk about do's and don'ts of the league?
Let's do it.
Drafting.
Let's
So-
go.
Everybody has fantasy football drafts coming up. That's a great suggestion, Barrett. So everybody has fantasy drafts coming
I
up.
know how many I'm in now.
I've got 5 or 6 fantasy drafts coming up. So I'm not gonna give away all my secrets. None of us really are. But we're gonna give some do's and don'ts. Each of us wrote down 3 do's of a draft, 3 don'ts of a fantasy football draft, and we're gonna explain why you do those things and why you don't do those things. So, I'll go first and get mine out of the way so I can just listen to you guys. My three do's are: number 1, monitor your draft, and I'll explain that. Number 2, keep a certain level of calmness in your draft. Number 3, focus on filling your needs over your wants. So let me break those down really quick. The first one, monitor your draft. So sometimes you're going to have this draft strategy. You're going to be set on it, right? Well, sometimes in every draft, eventually it happens, someone is going to draft a player that you don't expect them to draft. And it's going to change the course of the draft and how everybody else drafts around you. So make sure that you monitor what everybody else is doing so that maybe you start seeing, like, I'll just give an example. Say you see running backs and wide receivers going pretty early, right? Standard draft, that's what you see. All of a sudden, some guy goes, I'm gonna get Tom Brady, and everyone's like, whoa, hey, like, we're not drafting quarterbacks yet. And then all of a sudden, another quarterback goes off the board. Now Mahomes is gone. Now Lamar Jackson is gone. Now the focus has gone off of running backs, wide receivers. So you have a choice, and they're probably both good choices, but now you have a choice. You have a choice to monitor your draft in terms of, okay, I'm going to go with the flow and I'm going to get a quarterback now because I don't want to risk one not being there and getting stuck with a guy who can't score. Or you can say, hey, now's my chance. I'm going to get 3 stud running backs, or I'm going to get 2 more stud wide receivers while they're focusing on quarterbacks, and I can get a guy to fill the spot, depending on what you're comfortable with. So, number 1, monitor your draft. That's my number 1 do. My number 2 do in a draft is keep a level of calmness. That also ties into my first one is don't panic when you see other people doing certain things. Don't panic. Stay calm. Stay the course. You're going to have some curveballs thrown at you. You might have to change things up a little bit, but stay calm. I remember my first fantasy football draft, I actually ended up having the homer syndrome way too much. And I drafted way too many Vikings players because my first time ever playing fantasy football. I didn't know what I was doing at all, and that's okay to admit because everybody has done it. And as you got better, I can tell you, I think I took last place in that league, and I deserved to. So then as time, I took a year off, I read up on something, and then I read up on a bunch of stuff for fantasy football and how to do better at it. And I took third my second year doing it after taking the year off. And then I took first, and I took second, and I took first, and I took first. And then I took second last year in one league. And then I went and I took I technically took 5th, but they colluded against me, so it's a whole thing in the Yahoo League. I changed a bunch of rules. I should have taken 2nd place and been in the playoffs, but a husband and wife colluded against me to get me out of my playoff spot. So I technically took 2nd place last year because I outscored 3 out of the 4 playoff teams. But I'll take my 5th place loss, and I'll avenge that this year, and I'll come back stronger. So my third do of a fantasy draft is focus on filling your needs over your wants. So a lot of guys don't realize this. They get what's called the big name syndrome is what I call it. And they go, I got to get this guy, I got to get this guy, I got to get this guy. And they're shooting after a name. They're not shooting after production value that this guy's going to give you. Maybe consider and maybe put something into consideration. Well, okay, this team drafted another wide receiver that's a stud in the draft. Maybe this guy's going to have double coverage on him and the rookie's going to go off this year. Well, okay, that can happen. Or maybe the running game enhances because they go draft a number one running back. So now you get wide receivers that are going to be more open during the season. So things elevate, things evolve in fantasy football. So really focus on filling your needs over your wants. That's my 3 do's. My 3 don'ts is they tie into all of my 3 do's. Is actually number 1, don't reach. Do not reach for a player just because their name's big or they're like a high level profile. Say you have 3 wide receivers that are studs, right? And this guy, one of your wide receivers has a bye week 6, and then you see another big name wide receiver. And you're like, well, I want that guy, but his bye week is also 6. Well, then maybe you shouldn't draft him. Maybe you should go get a high production wide receiver that isn't a big name but has good numbers over his career so far that you know is going to have, especially formats, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Maybe you're going to have the opportunity to go get a guy that is a high production value type guy, but he's not a huge name, and you actually need him versus wanting him. So it's one of those things where you don't reach for certain players just because of a name or an offensive system that they're in. Maybe you just need to go get a guy that no one really knows about, one of those sleeper picks. My second don't is don't cave to pressure. It just ties directly to keep your level of calmness in your draft. Don't cave to the pressure. Sometimes someone might make a really stupid decision. They might draft a kicker in the 4th round. And to be honest, your kickers are probably going to average 12 to 16 points a game. You're going to be very lucky if you get a kicker that scores 20, 30 points a week. I've had it happen before because there's a lot of field goals being kicked and PATs being made. But kickers know nothing to make you freak out. That person's just an idiot for drafting a kicker that early. Leave it at that. Especially if you quote Taco from the league when it was still on FX. I drafted a whole team of kickers because they're the toughest. Number three is don't settle. Like if you know that there's players on the board still, uh, don't settle for some guy that you know isn't gonna like put up major numbers for you or put up even decent numbers for you. Like, don't settle on someone that is like, well, he's got to like I've had him for 2 years in a row. Like maybe this is the year he goes off. Like, don't settle on a player like that because maybe that guy just never goes off. Like maybe it's time to like cut ties and move on to somebody else. Even especially if you are a fan of that player because he is on your favorite team. Like sometimes you got if not sometimes all the time in fantasy you got to put that away. Like you're never gonna win a league if you do the homer syndrome, if you go after guys that don't put up good numbers. So those are my do's and don'ts. Let's go with you, Barrett. I know you're kind of in a rush, so let's go with you. What you got first?
For my dues, I have depth is key. Like, it's never
that's
a
good.
bad idea to have abundance of positions that matter the most, running backs and wide receivers.
Yep.
Like even if you're pretty wide receiver heavy, you can trade some of those wide receivers for other assets. Especially it depends on what your league format is.
I like that.
And then notice how people around you are drafting.
Mhm.
Like if you notice that the people in front of you all drafted tight ends, likelihood is they're not going to draft another tight end. So that means you can wait till later to draft your tight end.
I like that idea.
And then if you're in multiple leagues, diversify your revenue. Don't be drafting the same player in every single league. Because if that
100%.
player gets injured, then you are screwed in so many leagues. You got to diversify your revenue and broaden your horizons.
I love that. That's good advice.
For my don'ts is don't draft on okay, let me say this again. Don't rely on injuries. Don't draft handcuffs of players that you don't currently own. Like if you have Zeke, then you draft Tony Pollard. But if you don't have like Dalvin Cook, don't draft Alexander Madison or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's just a wasted bench spot.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying, to clarify, like, don't be afraid of injuries. Like, trust that Dalvin Cook's going to stay healthy. Handle the situation if something needs to be handled.
Well, it's more of if don't draft handcuffs of other players, of other people's players.
Don't
Like,
draft his backup. Okay.
Yeah, don't draft backups unless you have that player. Like if you have Dalvin, draft Madison. If you have, a Zeke, draft Pollard. But if you don't have those players, don't be drafting other people's handcuffs. It isn't going to help you any.
Trying to
Yeah.
snipe it later.
What was that?
You try to snipe them when it's time.
Yeah, there is, and they'll be on the free agency, and that's when you use your fab budget or your waiver pickup to pick them up.
There you go.
Your bench is valuable. What people don't understand is having a lot of depth on your bench. That's gold. Like you need that to win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's the only don't I have currently.
I put a got him in the chat just because John said you can't snipe him. If you do it now, you can't snipe him later.
Very true.
Jerk.
So, dudes, Alex, I'm gonna carry on now. All right, that's just how I like to do it.
Go for it, John. Do's and don'ts, bud.
Dudes, all right, pay attention to the news. That's rule number one for me too. Like,
Great advice.
I just realized Elijah Moore is not going to be there for the rest of the preseason, so probably week 1. I didn't realize that till Barrett told me that right before this thing started.
Yeah.
So pay attention to the news. Don't draft someone that's not going to be there, Michael Thomas. I don't think Michael Thomas is going to be there.
I doubt he comes back this season in general.
There you go.
Yeah. It's tough
and
to say
this
right now. It's up in the air.
this is something I'm learning now is practice your mock drafts. I'm jumping into something new this year, doing the auction draft, and Barrett walked me through how to go about it, and I'm doing it through an app. So
I need to do that with you guys.
It's also nice to go through the user interface and get used to how things work on that app. So if you're just jumping in at showtime, you don't mess up.
Yeah,
that's through
good.
Sleeper app, which is a new fantasy football app just came out. Hashtag not a sponsor yet, but if they do want to sponsor, let us know.
Yeah,
Yeah, let us know. We'd love that.
you know what? We drafted on that sleeper app last week, and I had a good time. I thought it handled very well. It was very simple to read. As the first time using it, I enjoyed the interface. I'm excited for the season through it.
I checked out the app the other day because like Barrett texted me, and he said, "Hey, make sure you check out like the rules and like the format system and like just the scoring system and everything." First off, I love the scoring system. I thought that was awesome. I love that we have the super flex. I've never seen that before in any fan. I knew about it, but I've never been in a league with a super flex, so I'm very excited about that.
People that are interested in this league, we will be showing our teams. All three of us are inside this league, so we will show our teams and all that when we get done drafting.
Are we all in the same division?
You
No,
two are, and then no, you're in my
No,
Mike.
me and you
I'm
are in
going
a division. Then
separate one.
John's the enemy.
Yep,
Yeah.
John's another side.
Oh, I'm like South Beach. All right, like I gotta be the strongest competitor out there. It's not like a walk in the park for LeBron James on the East Side. I gotta go fishing.
So yeah, I love the app. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was easy to run through. But
Should we
like,
go over league formats and scoring types and all that by chance, guys?
yeah, we should. I think that's going to be really important. I actually didn't want to cover that today. So what I like want to get at with this, we're talking about different apps now. Let's talk about league formats, like Barrett was just suggesting. So in fantasy football, there's a lot of different formats, and the ones that I like typically played in is full point PPR, half point PPR. Some people are ridiculous and don't play PPR. I don't get that.
For the standard leagues.
Yeah,
and standard is dying.
Standard is dying. I agree. Like I've moved away from it in all of my leagues. I would say whatever league you're in, have a fab value waiver wire. Yes.
Does anybody have a preference? Like my
yes,
preference really is a half point PPR super flex league. And I don't know, most people might not be familiar with what super flex is. It's kind of a new format that just came out. And it's where you can start two quarterbacks. And you can start a quarterback in the flex position if you want to.
Right.
It's not it's recommended that you do so. You don't have to. You can start whatever you really want, but you're more likely to win if you start a quarterback in your super flex spot.
You guys want to go ahead and you want to take over a little bit for like probably 5-10 minutes. I do have to use the restroom, unfortunately,
Okay.
but I'm gonna leave my headset on so I can hear everything that's being said. Because I care about what you guys say. I want to hear what you say, but I do have to use the I do have to use the restroom really quick.
Go ahead. Go.
So you guys go in and cover some of the formats of fantasy leagues.
Okay. It just depends on what you're like. Make sure if you're drafting, make sure you go in there and check to see what your draft is, whether it be half point PPR, full point PPR. Check to see how much a passing touchdown is compared to a rushing touchdown. Check to see how much, like the one league that I'm joining John and Mike in, they're giving, is it 1 point per 10 yards for passing? Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it changes your whole entire outlook. So make sure if you're going and joining new leagues, which I recommend everybody join a bunch of leagues. Like that's the only way you're going to get better at fantasy football is if you participate in it. But go in there and take a look to see what the scoring format is, and it'll change how you draft. Like certain players are more valuable in full point PPR compared to half point.
Like I'll never forget like when I first did PPR, that was something new to me. I was so used to standard for a couple of years, and then they introduced PPR to my group, and that's point per reception. You value players differently, such as the running back, um, someone who can catch the ball. Someone I was really big into PPR was like Danny Woodhead. Not exactly running back stud, a top 10 running back, but in PPR, that dude was golden. Is that a good? What do you think about that, Barrett?
A very good example there. Same with another guy like Darren Sproles was always a guy that I targeted
Right.
heavily in half PPR. And then even full PPR, full PPR can change. Like there's so much; those receptions are so much more valuable. So like the Saquon Barkleys, the Christian McCaffreys,
Right. That's
those
why the
guys
draft
can,
is so heavy.
yeah, they can pretty much win you the league just with their receptions alone.
And the fact that Christian McCaffrey did 1,000 on the floor and 1,000 receiving with that 1 year, is that correct?
Yep, yep, absolutely. It
Ridiculous.
is amazing what he did there. I don't think he's gonna do that anytime soon, though.
Nope. He's battling little injuries, knickknacks. He's injured now. He's an injured running back.
Yeah, and that kind of worries me, but we'll see what happens with that. Um, no, there's different kinds of platforms. There's like Yahoo, ESPN, NFL Network, and then this new platform we're talking about is Sleeper. Um, Sleeper is by far my favorite one. I'll be switching a lot of my leagues over to Sleeper. Yahoo is my least favorite format of all the formats,
I
and then
agree.
ESPN is probably my
Yeah, I
second least
agree.
favorite. I don't like Yahoo. I really don't.
So I've been
I
on Yahoo for a long time, and I think Yahoo is trying to step up a lot. They even made some updates over the past 2 years. They added a lot of things that they should have had for a while now. So the only reason I didn't switch our Yahoo League to the ESPN format, because so far ESPN's been my favorite, to be honest. I've done one in the NFL. I've done in the NFL app. I've done one in Yahoo. I've never done one in Sleeper, and then ESPN has been, I think, so far my favorite format. I'm excited to be in the Sleeper one because I've already falling in love with it as I've been in here. I'd like to cover a little bit of the IDP leagues and the defensive players and the defense leagues, if you guys are cool with that. Like because a lot of people don't know much about IDP leagues.
I think it's one of the least popular right now, but it is growing.
Yeah, so
You have to be more knowledgeable, like way more
Just like
knowledgeable about
yeah,
football. You
and
know?
see, everybody says that it's the opposite, but see, I love that you say that it requires more knowledge because it really does. Like, um,
game
what
changer
I
in
love
our
about it
league.
is if what's that, John?
It was a game changer in our league last year.
Yeah, so like one thing I thought was interesting in our league, John, last year was we had a 2 week playoff format where there was 4 weeks of playoffs, and we set our rosters. But like after one bad week, which was crazy, I somehow came back and won my second week to the point where
You
like
won the total score.
a,
Yeah, it was
a ridiculous comeback happened twice between
ridiculous.
me and
Yeah.
John and between me and J Roth.
Who would have?
But it was so fun like having IDP leagues. But now I'll explain what IDP if you haven't played it as before. Um,
One of
really
the
quick.
leagues that I'm currently in
Yeah.
on Yahoo
Mhm.
is IDP League, where you start 10 individual defensive players.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that one gets out of control.
Yeah. It makes it 10 times harder because now you're looking at how much is a half tackle, how much is a tackle, how much is a pass deflection. Do you have like what do you have for your point selections on that? Like how much is a sack? Like now you see now it adds like so what he's saying Callisto is that like in my Yahoo league we have 4 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, 2 defensive ends, 2 linebackers. I think that's it. Um, but mental math, it's 4, 6. I think it's 10 players too. So I want to hear I want to read what Callisto said. Callisto says, "So great draft tips, but how will you handle someone like Tyler who isn't a football fan, just wants to have fun trolling us?" Tyler can try and troll us in the draft all he wants. It's not going to work. Like with an experienced fantasy football player, it's not going to work. Like if he goes to draft like all the quarterbacks, well, I'm the and I think in one of the leagues that Tyler's in, I'm a commissioner, and I have it set to where you can only have 4 quarterbacks. So there is literally 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, right? So probably by the 4th, 5th, 6th round, that's when quarterbacks are probably going to go. I'm not going to lie, that's standard draft procedure. It seems like Tyler can have drafted 4 quarterbacks, but now he can't draft anymore. You know,
That's it.
and like if you want to use those as trade bait, well, now you're stuck with 4 quarterbacks, and you're not going to be able to draft and put proper bench spots on. So, there you go. So, yeah, it ain't gonna work. But anyways, on the format of IDP leagues, it elevates the game of fantasy football for me because now you're having to worry about like sacks, stuffs. If you're feeling really generous, like which is a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, loss of yards. Like there's all sorts of stuff, which I don't get too generous. I basically cover the standards of like, okay, well, a fumble is worth 2 points, an interception is worth 2 points. And what's crazy about it is your quarterback loses those 2 points. So say I'm playing John, and John's quarterback throws a pick 6, and my cornerback gets the pick 6, and me and John were tied going into the final 1 minute of the game. Well, John just lost 13 points. Because say they get the 6, they get the touchdown. They get the points from the interception, which is 3. 2 or 3, and then say they get the touchdown, which is 6, and now they're getting the return yards to the end zone. So let's say they run 70 yards, so it's like a 20-point turnaround on a crazy big play. It's fun. It is so fun.
On the waiver wire
a lot of fun.
week.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mike, do you want to get say on some players that you're looking for IDP leagues, like who are you looking to draft, and some guys that you really want to draft?
Yeah. So in IDP leagues, what's crazy is you don't have to know big names. You got to look at numbers. So it's not really a name game than anymore when it comes to that. I mean, it is, but it's also not. So like an example of that is like last year J.J. Watt got hurt, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was out.
So he missed a lot of time. And so J.J. Watt is a huge name, right? So I think he had like 1 week where he scored 15 points, 20 points, which is actually kind of like a small number in a IDP league. Like some of those guys are getting a lot. Like if you get a cornerback, I'll give you a secret. I shouldn't, but I'll give you a secret.
Give me a secret.
So a positive thing you can do in an IDP league, especially with your corners and your safeties, is you can go to the worst defense in the NFL, and you can look at how many times this cornerback is targeted, and you can go, that guy sucks at covering wide receivers. So maybe he constantly gets burned, and he's constantly tackling a wide receiver 10, 20 yards down the field the entire game because he's being targeted the whole game by Aaron Rodgers.
And tackles.
So like, he might have 10 tackles by the end of that game because that's how many times Aaron Rodgers picked on him the entire game. It's something to factor in. So players like for do's and don'ts for IDPs, players that you look for, you're looking for guys that might get bullied. You're looking for guys that can't cover for the life of them. Like they are Ryan Gosling and Remember the Titans. They are an absolute liability. Like
You don't be afraid to draft the guys that suck, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Like, because they might be just as high value as a guy like Harrison Smith. Like, my favorite player from the Vikings of this decade. I have his jersey on right now. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer someday. He's right up there with Troy Polamalu stat-wise right now in his career, and he's ahead in certain numbers. Like, you're going to have those guys like Harrison Smith who are like, that guy's an animal. I want that guy. And then you're going to have some guys that are like, not Trey Waynes, like Cameron Dantzler for the Vikings last year. He was like money because every team, we all know how bad the Vikings defense was last year. He was money. You could get Cameron Dantzler and be like, that guy is going to get worked on today. And you're like, that guy's going to get that a bunch of tackles, a bunch of half tackles. And some guys just get that many because they're skilled. So don't be afraid to draft crappy players on defense because that means you're getting targeted. That means you're going to get points. You guys got any pointers?
Not for IDP really. Like you're spot on with all your takes on IDP.
Thanks, man.
Is there any guys that we should be targeting that you're personally targeting that are not IDP players?
Absolutely. I think we should actually segue into that, and on top of it, let's talk fading players that we really don't want to touch and sought after players that we want for
Okay.
hot take version though. We want hot takes, like hot take version of why you want a player or why you don't want a player. So let's hear what you got, Barrett. Like, what are you thinking for your, who are you seeking
Who am
that
I
you
seeking?
did not expect? Who is sought after for you this year in your drafts that like you did not expect yourself to be smitten by?
The ones that right now, just for price value, Najee Harris in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like if you take what the running backs got last year.
Yeah.
He got 287, or he's on pace for 287 rushing attempts,
Mm-hmm.
and he's on pace for over 70 receiving targets.
Wow.
So he could be a league winner if you give him what James Conner and Benny Snell got last year.
Yeah.
Another guy is Cooper Kupp for the LA Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, the way that I see it is he only got 4 touchdowns last year. That's going to come way back up. Like, he's going to come
I'll
back
agree.
to the median. So even if he averages his median at 7 touchdowns,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be in the top 20 for your wide receivers.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one that I'm targeting by far.
I love
And
that.
I've been getting both those guys in underdog fantasy football. That's the best ball draft, and I'm getting them all the time. That's another thing is underdog fantasy football. Hashtag not a sponsor, but if underdog, if you want to make a deal, we're down.
We're here. Welcome.
What are you thinking, John? Who are some guys that you're looking at?
I just drafted Cooper Kupp in the 5th. Boom.
Boom, good shit. I love it.
Boom.
You
No,
just drafting right now?
yeah, because I wanted to try this app out that I'm like, as we tried it.
Oh,
So
sure. Okay, I got
So I
you.
was trying out our app that we're talking about, and it's going well.
You
Cooper
didn't
Kupp.
tell me that.
And I just wanted to try it out. Another player that I was big on, I guess that I'm big on, 'cause I guess I'm fading. I'm fading Amari Cooper. I don't think
Let-
Amari Cooper.
Let's focus on. We'll go to fading next. Who are you seeking, or do you not have any more?
Seeking out.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys cover like, just like Barrett said, like Cooper Kupp. He's a value pick at the 5th. Look at that, he went in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I do personally think he's their best wide receiver on that Rams offense. He's going to get the most of the looks. But it's hard to tell, especially with Matthew Stafford, his first year there. The dynamic may be different, but as far as what I've seen in the past, I think the team knows that, Cooper Kupp he's got raw talent.
And I think that it's notable that Matthew Stafford's there now and not Jared Goff. So I think that there's a step up. So I mean, Cooper Kupp's production value, I think, has nothing but value to go up. So I agree with that. All right,
Like a Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, let's move. Yeah, that's a good
What'd
comparison
you say
actually.
about Jordy Nelson? What was it?
He said Cooper Kupp's kind of like he has the potential to be like a Jordy Nelson type wide receiver.
I like that take. That's cool. I
That's a
haven't
good
heard
take.
that comp before, but
I've never heard that said, but I like that actually. Let's go after sought after players, or let's go after fading players. So I'll do my two. I might even do a third one if someone comes to my head. So my first fading player, or no, I didn't do my sought after, did I?
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. My two main sought after players. I don't even know if I'll try and draft them or not yet. But like thinking about this question, we are talking sports scripted. My two that came to head when we talked about this question before we started was actually Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you heard me say that. I'm wearing a purple and yellow jersey. I said Aaron Rodgers. And here's why. I know a lot of people are concerned about Green Bay and the state of that team and the chemistry of that team and what it's going to be like. But this is why I am sold that Rodgers is going to be good this year. I mean, first off, coming off an MVP season, like, we know how good he is. Like, we just know that. But all drama, locker room stuff set aside, this whole offseason was needless to say, a crapshoot. Like, there was a whole lot of confusion. I wanted to, like, take a second to apologize, like, for anything bad that I said about Rodgers, because I watched that press conference that was 30 minutes long when he came back officially, and he 100% put the Packers on blast in the most professional way, and he did it in a way that made sense. Like I've never seen a fan base be like, "Wow, like I love what he's saying," and he was not showing up to mandatory stuff. Like, the fan base is like not upset with him, and they're still not upset with him because he might leave next year. Like, his contract was changed. So the reason why I'm high on Aaron Rodgers is because I think he will not return to Green Bay after this season.
Mhm.
With how his contract has been adjusted, he even said in his press conference that things are at a professional level with these guys in the front office. He doesn't like how the front office is handled still. He thinks there's a lot of improvement. He wants more say. I don't think he's going to get that completely. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to ball out this year. I think they're going to – I've said on somebody else's hot take, I think that what's going to happen is he's going to ball out. He's not going to win the Super Bowl this year, though. That's not being a homer. I just don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl. I think that the Buccaneers at some point in the playoffs, maybe even early on, will knock Green Bay out of the playoffs at home in Lambeau. Aaron Rodgers will not be a Packer the following year. He's going to go somewhere else.
Wow.
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play out of his mind this year again, but more so than he did last year, which is crazy to say because he wants teams to know his value that he can bring to a new team because he wants out of Green Bay. That's my first sought-after player. My second one is T. Higgins. T. Higgins is going to blow up this year. I'm telling you. Joe Burrow's back. He's looking healthy. These guys are ready to get balling. Like, this offense is going to start balling hard in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow again. I think that it was a shame that Joe Burrow got hurt last year. I felt really bad for him. We talked about that in the podcast last year when it was going on before we were actually uploading things. I think T. Higgins is set to have a big year.
Can I ask a question to this?
Yeah.
Would you be concerned about, the depth at wide receiver in that team now? About the amount of looks he's gonna get. They just drafted a rookie wide receiver.
They did. Yeah, I mean, that's there, but I mean, I think that, like, some teams do this thing where they kind of work in a wide receiver over time. And I think that they have that possibility to do that with their new wide receiver. Who did they draft again? I can't remember. They did draft a
Amari
new wide
Rodgers.
receiver. Yes. Yeah, that's right. So I think there's room for T. Higgins to still have a big year. I think he's a guy to look out for.
Me as well. I love T. Higgins. He's in my top 24. So yeah, I agree with you.
I like that. I think that's a very fair spot to put him. Let's go to fading players. My two fading players is Miles Sanders. I don't trust Philadelphia. I think that offense is a mess. I don't think 1 year is enough time to fix everything. Jalen Hurts was not impressive in his debut in preseason. I don't care what Eagles fans have to say. He was not impressive in preseason. Like, and with how many quarterbacks the Eagles have signed in the offseason, I don't think the confidence is all there on Jalen Hurts yet. I think he has a big target on his back, and on that team, I think there's a lot of pressure. I hope for the best for Jalen Hurts to have a good year, but I'm not relying on that offense. I'm not relying on Miles Sanders at running back, especially because of where that offense is at in the state of it. My second fading player is Alvin Kamara. I went hot take on this one because I just don't think Alvin Kamara is going to be in a good offense with the Saints right now. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, and this offense is different. It's not Drew Brees operating the offense the way this team is used to running things. It's going to be different. The running game is going to be impacted by it. Like, they're trying to figure out what's next for New Orleans, and I just don't. Alvin Kamara is an extremely talented running back, and no doubt in my mind. I mean, he dominated the Vikings defense last year, which I will say was some backups in. Everyone was hurt. Like, different year. We'll see what happens. But 6 touchdowns in a game is freak numbers. But that being said, Alvin Kamara is, I think at least for this year, I'm not really trusting Alvin Kamara and what he can put out this year with the New Orleans Saints offense. But
Yeah,
I'd like to be pleasantly surprised. I'll leave it at that. So Barrett, what do you got?
I'm more worried about his touchdown upside. I think this is going to be another kind of year where he only scores maybe 5 to 6 touchdowns.
Dang,
And
that's disappointing.
yeah, very disappointing, especially when he's a top 7 pick.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just like, I'm off him as well. I agree with your take on Kamara. He's just too risky. He's got a crap ton of receptions, so PPR leagues, he's still worth it.
Right.
But he's just, the touchdown upside is what takes him out of the top end for me.
Okay, John?
My fate of this year is going to be Amari Cooper. For the price he's going at, I think he's going what? Where do you have him placed in rankings, Barrett?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. I currently have Amari Cooper at 21.
21, and I think that's too high for him. Sadly, I think that the tides have turned for who's the number one in Dallas, and I think you can get a better value pick with CeeDee Lamb. You're gonna get more for his value out of that Dallas offense. I like CeeDee Lamb this year. I will seek out I will seek out CeeDee Lamb for his draft position.
I do as well. When CeeDee Lamb came out, my comp for CeeDee Lamb was Devonta Adams, and I think he is just about to say, like, I think he is right now. Let me look. I have CeeDee Lamb currently at wide receiver 11. So
See that? So if you don't know him yet, you're about to know.
and guys,
Yeah.
the rankings that I'm talking about, I stat out every player in the NFL,
Mhm.
and then have a ranking for every single player. I will probably be releasing my rankings probably on September 5th is what
Okay.
I'm planning to release everything. So I'll let everybody know, but
Yeah.
just thought I'd throw that out there.
I love that. Like, I'd love to know how you do that and be a part of that. Actually, that's really cool that you do that, and I want to elevate my game more too. Like, and then I think John does too. And like that's really cool that you do those rankings and you release that. So I think that's awesome. Like,
Oh yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, I'm not right on all of my predictions. Nobody
Yeah.
in the NFL fantasy football is,
no.
but I try and give like realistic predictions for all of these players.
Right. Right. I agree. Let's move into the era of. Let's talk the most friendly fantasy football offenses.
Can I
And,
do the guys that I'm fading by chance?
What's that?
Before we-
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
Put a dollar in a jar. You skipped them.
I'll
that's
put
all
a dollar in.
And so the players that I am actually not targeting this year is Aaron Rodgers. I know that he's your boy, but I see mass regression when it comes to touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had 48 touchdowns through the air, and he had 3 on the ground. So he scored 51 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions.
Okay.
That is outrageous. That has to come down. He had a 9.1
that's true.
touchdown rate. The average in the NFL is 6.7,
That's
and
insane.
he was at 9.1 touchdown rate. Like, that's not. It has to come down. He scored 4,000 or 4,200 yards, 4,299, so almost 4,300 yards.
Mhm.
He can do that again. Likely, that's probably going to happen again.
Yeah.
But it's the whole touchdown upside. And
Oh, I see what you're saying.
if we take away like 7 touchdowns, that's what, 28 points, dropping him from wide receiver, or not wide receiver, quarterback 5 to
Hmm.
quarterback 12 or 15.
Sure. Yeah, I
So
mean
that's the
those are
biggest
all
thing.
good points. I mean, that's all good points to bring up too. I mean, yeah, I mean Aaron Rodgers is he's Aaron Rodgers. Like it's I'm not gonna lie. I feel like some of the Hail Marys that we see from Aaron are awfully lucky at times. But then again, like sometimes I question myself on that because I'm like, this guy literally does this all the time. Like he's like another Brett Favre, Tom Brady, like type of guy, that Peyton Manning type guy. That you just like they have the ball with 2 minutes left. You're like, please God no. You know what I mean? Like you're nervous. 2 minutes left, fourth quarter. Like this guy's got the ball. I don't want him to have the ball against my team. Like especially like if they're within one score. Like it's and I'm excited for those moments in the NFL. I'm excited for those moments in the games again. They're kind of like irreplaceable. You love those moments even though they kind of like suck at the moment. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers.
I'm excited to see what happens with the season.
Yeah,
I'm, I'm just looking for that touchdown rate to come down. That's the only downside. I
yeah,
still love Aaron Rodgers. It's not predictable to do 9.1 touchdown rate again.
yeah. I agree.
And then,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was going to say my second player that I'm fading
Hmm.
is Jonathan Taylor.
Oh.
Jonathan Taylor is currently in the first round.
Hmm.
And the way that I see it, I don't think that they're going to be checking the ball down enough for him to get enough receptions to make him worth a first round talent.
Okay.
Last year, what's his name? Philip Rivers
Hmm.
checked the ball down 120, 12, let's see, 131 times.
Hmm.
I don't think Carson Wentz is going to check down ball down 131 times.
See,
You.
that's Philip Rivers' bread and butter, though. He's a
Yep.
check down quarterback.
It's
But
true.
it's also when is he going to come back though? That's the biggest thing, is I don't know when he's going to come back, and I don't really trust those backup quarterbacks to
Yeah.
really. And plus, they got Nyheim Hines still there.
Yeah, it's true.
Like
Um,
Nyheim Hines caught 63 passes last year for 482 yards.
He's good at catching. He's good.
Yes, very
He's
very
good at
good.
while we're on the Colts, let's talk about the Colts for a minute. Like, they were kind of one of the bigger teams in the news over the past couple of weeks that we haven't gotten to do a recording. So, Carson Wentz obviously gets hurt per Adam Schefter. He has a foot surgery. He's supposed to be out 5 to 12 weeks. Everybody is shocked by it. I was watching Pat McAfee show a lot that week. Like everyone's like, "What in the hell? Like, what is going on in Indy?" Because then Quentin Nelson went down with something very similar. And with what people don't know about this injury is that Carson Wentz had something like this when he was in high school. Like this is, like he had an extra bone or something in his foot where it just kind of sits there and hangs out. Like, and he was in practice one day, felt something pop or something like that, and then he goes and gets evaluated, and he has to have foot surgery. And the conflict of having that foot surgery is that now he's probably going to miss 5 to 12 weeks, is what we were told. Because the process with it is that you're not supposed to have any blood flow to that foot. But then lo and behold, probably like a week later after this news breaks, Carson Wentz is at practice. Quentin Nelson is at practice. These guys are both there. They're doing non-contact stuff. They're doing low-pressure stuff. And they're not wearing boots. They're like on pace. And now Carson Wentz is now on pace to be the starter week 1 again. So I think, there was 4 weeks that were kind of like misinterpreted that like, well, that weren't really factored in. Well, like, yeah, there is 5 weeks coming up until the first game, So maybe he gets fully healed and gets in there. Like, and as Pat McAfee was saying, I don't know who the hell is doing these guys' foot surgery, but he must be a really good surgeon because, like, if you go from 5 to 12 weeks to all of a sudden now being potentially the starting quarterback, like, it's pretty good. It's pretty
I'm
good.
more worried about Quentin Nelson's injury
Yeah.
than I am of Carson's because Quentin has to rely on his foot almost every single play.
Yeah.
So we'll see how
And they
this
get stepped on.
goes.
Those guys
Exactly.
get stepped on a lot. So
We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what the Colts do. I'm pretty leery when it comes to the whole team in general. I'm kind of, yeah, we'll see.
I remember like when we did our last episode, we were all big on the Colts. So they're gonna have a big year, and then I think this changes things a little bit. I know they won in the last minutes of their preseason game today, which is good. But I mean, you go into preseason with somewhat of a grain of salt. Like, okay, well they're trying to figure out the identity of who's gonna make the team, whatever. But with that being said, with the Colts, for me, I guess I'll answer the question first is, like, how does this impact our predictions for the Colts? How does this impact, like, what this team's going to do? I think losing Carson Wentz is a major downgrade. And first off, about the injury, like, if you're an Eagles fan and you were saying, like, well, Carson Wentz screwed us again, like, way to go, like, honestly, go screw yourself. Like, because here's the thing is, these guys are professional athletes. They got to take care of their bodies so they can do their job. They really don't care about you in terms of like, well, he needs to play 75% of the snaps because they're going to screw me over they're going to screw our team over cuz he's not there anymore. He doesn't care about the Eagles. That was how the trade worked out. Too bad, so sad. Ever heard of the Vikings and Cowboys Herschel Walker trade? Yeah, we got fucked, okay? So let's just leave it at that. Like, there's no need to be a salty, toxic fan towards the athlete because they got injured. These guys aren't trying to get injured. They want to play football for a living. This is part of playing football for a living. Like, they take care of their body so that they can play longer. I know that the history with Carson Wentz is there, but you know what? Like, Eagles fans are pretty ungrateful the way it is for what he already gave you in Philadelphia, and I'm very glad he's not there anymore. Like, I'm very happy he's not there anymore. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. But I think it impacts the success of the team a lot if Carson Wentz does not play misses some time. I think that the quarterback room is a little uneasy if Carson's not starting, and especially if Quentin Nelson's there. You know, like if he's not there, we'll see what happens. So. I'm hoping for the best for the Colts. I really want Carson to have a good year and get back on track. He's back with the right coaching staff. I think that he's in a good place with a good offensive line. I want to see what this team can do. Like, what are your guys' thoughts now that is this team's season in jeopardy, or is it not?
I think the team overall in general is good enough to win games. They're more likely to win though if they have a good quarterback at the helm.
Yeah.
But I would still like, for fantasy wise, if Carson isn't there, I'm more hesitant on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I think we're all in agreement. John, you got anything?
I think well, let's say without Quentin Nelson, without Carson, I hate to say I don't want anything to do with, but I don't want anything to do with this team. Like it sucks. Like those are some core players, at your offense. Your defense is gonna be fine, but your offense has to put up some numbers to compete.
Mm-hmm.
That would worry me. And if you're a Colts fan and you're saying you're not worried, like you're playing, because I'd be freaking out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a big change, that's for sure. I mean, it's crazy how one player can impact a team's success that much. And
I think you go as far as quarterback play, you go from going a mid tier to a great tier. You're better off with Wentz at the helm.
Yeah, for
now,
sure.
with these injuries, I think that the Titans take this division though.
Oh, that's a new
Like
take.
before, I said that the Colts were going to take it. Now with these recent injuries, Tennessee is probably going to win the division.
Yeah. I remember after the last episode that we did, people were like just dogging on the Colts before even the injury happened, and they're like, this team's going to be bad this year. Like, I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, you don't even know. Like, I know the Titans have been dominant lately, but like, Like you're not even giving the Colts a chance. They got a whole new offense coming here, so it's gonna be different with Carson Wentz. Like, especially if he's healthy, that guy can ball. I don't know why he was being overlooked. But um, speaking of like overlooking things, let's move on to the most fantasy football friendly offenses and the least fantasy football friendly offenses. And this will be our last. I believe this is one of our last topics, right, Barrett?
I actually need to leave here, so I'm gonna give my two, and then I'm probably gonna
Go
bail
for
out if
it.
that's cool.
Go for it. Yep. So what's your most fantasy friendly offense that you're feeling this year so far?
The Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yes, I love the Arizona Cardinals this year, and I'm gonna try and take as much players as I can with these Cardinals players, and you can get them for very good values.
That's good.
Um,
That's a good pick.
Kyler Murray is my number one quarterback on the year,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get guys like Rondell Moore and all that in the 12th round. So just if you want to hold off on a rookie and have him on your bench and wait until he pops off, that's one that you probably could invest in and wait for later. Another one that I'm really looking forward to is the Bengals
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow is still fantasy relevant as well as Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
So those are the two that I'm really looking forward to. The two that I'm not looking forward to at all are the Patriots. I am not going to touch any kind of Patriot player, and the Saints.
Not even
I
not even the tight ends in New England.
No, because they eat into each other's timeshare.
Okay.
Do that.
But I like the one player that I'm looking forward to on the Saints is Adam Troutman. He is going to be the most owned tight end I think I've owned in every league.
Okay.
Hmm.
I
Just
like
because I
that.
like his ability. Like he's going to go in there with nobody around him to take his share away from him. So we'll see what happens with that. Um. Anyways, I gotta head on out. Is it alright if I plug
Do
my
it.
channel real quick for it?
Do it.
All right. So, my name is Barrett, and I represent Red Zone Fantasy Football. We will be starting up on September 5th. Is going to be our very first podcast with
Ooh.
my two cohorts, and then we'll be releasing our rankings that same day. So please come out, check us out. We're going to be, I think we're going to try and do one on Twitch or on YouTube. I'm not sure
Ooh.
exactly which format we're going to try and do. But September 5th on Sunday is going to be the day that we're doing it.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah. Thanks for hanging out again, Barrett.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on. I really do appreciate everything. You guys have a great day.
All right.
All
See you,
right,
brother.
Barry. Peace out, man.
I'm gonna have to readjust some stuff here, John. So John, what is your walk me through it? Like, what's your most fantasy football friendly offense? Like, where are you at on that?
I think that's a hard thing for me to say because for me, what is fantasy friendly is is who's getting. I need workhorses. I need to know who's getting the work. I love a struggling. I love Pittsburgh's running back. How they operate. They it's a solid bell cow every year.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the players that I go for. Those are the players I want are bell cows. But if you want like friendly, who's gonna air it out a lot? You want to know who's gonna be down and who's gonna have to be airing it out. You might want to get and shoot. I know we talk crap on the Jets earlier, but you know you're looking for passes. They're gonna have to be passing to keep up. You
Yeah.
can't fall behind. Uh, Kansas City. That's obvious though. If you don't know, now like Kansas City is the most fantasy. Patrick Mahomes is going to air it out for 200 to 300 yards a game. I
Certainly gonna
wouldn't.
try.
I wouldn't talk you out of taking a Justin Herbert in the Chargers offense. I think we're definitely going to be airing it out offensively. We do have even when we air it out, we're going to air it out to our running back. Austin Eckler, who is a pass catching running back, which fits to the scheme. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mikey like that one. Um, let's see. But as far as like fades, like someone I don't want something that's too crowded. I don't want a um I don't want a Houston offense. I don't want any part of Houston, and I think I think Barrett mentioned earlier about Brandon Cooks, but I'm not even sold on Brandon Cooks because who's going to be airing it out to him? If it's Deshaun Watson, yeah, perhaps, but I don't think you can really rely. I don't think
Yeah,
that offense is
that's
good enough.
that's such a dangerous pick right now. No one knows where Deshaun Watson's gonna be. And that's it. That's the crazy thing about it is no one knows that answer. So, my most friendly offense, I have two,
Okay.
and I think my top two, and I'm not gonna mention the Chiefs because we all know what the Chiefs' offense is capable of, and that's the Chiefs' identity is they pass the ball, like you were saying earlier. If you don't know that, good luck. But so if you know, like, that's the common sense thing, of okay, these guys are gonna have probably a good year. But the two teams I picked for me, I picked two that stuck out: Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Minnesota Vikings. And I know everyone's like, "Well, he said this probably last year," but here's why I'm saying it again this year. Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and he, even on big games, he moves like, even if he has a good game, like, he might not like have the biggest like stats like some like guys like Aaron Rodgers and all them have, but he's competent every game. Like, he spreads the ball around. Like, he manages a game to where, like, they run the score up. He did it all last year. Whether they were running the ball, whether they were passing the ball. I mean, Mike Evans was his most targeted. Mike Evans, which is John. John is the what would you say? John's the non-celebrity version of Mike Evans. If you look at him, looks just like him.
Celebrity.
John's the lower grade celebrity version of Mike Evans. Look at yourself. But it's kind of weirdly similar. I'm not gonna lie. But Mike Evans was Tom Brady's go-to guy in the end zone last year. He caught a lot of touchdowns from Tom Brady, and I feel like that offense doesn't look like they want to stop. I think that's a super fantasy-friendly offense. And even if the ball's not being thrown to Mike Evans, you got everybody else on that team. You got Gronkowski. You got Ronald Jones, like Chris Godwin. Like, the list is crazy. Like, this is a really good offense, and they're going to be good again this year. It's and I know everyone. Go ahead.
Could you say that Green Bay would be a fantasy-friendly offense?
Oh, yeah. Green Bay's, I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. They're always a fantasy-friendly offense. Like, Aaron Rodgers he's
even through the floor, through the ground. You want a piece. You want a piece of Green Bay. I think is what fantasy is. Would be my definition of fantasy-friendly is you want a piece of that offense.
Yeah, you want to get something from it, and still have a diverse team. Yeah, I completely agree with that. My second team, though, that I think is gonna really surprise people is the Minnesota Vikings. I know everyone's gonna say, well, of course he's gonna say the Vikings. Well, let me tell you why. The Vikings had a really bad offensive line last year. Like, they were like at the bottom. I think they were like almost to like in last place for like the worst offensive line in the NFL. I think they're like 27th, maybe even farther down. I'd have to double check the numbers, but I know they were deep on the list, and they were bad. And even with that bad offensive line, they were still running the ball with Dalvin Cook. Like, he was a stud. Alexander Madison would come in, he would take care of business. It's not just the running game, but it's also the passing game. The Vikings had the fourth best offense in the league last year, and a lot of people don't realize that. The year Justin Jefferson had, and I think with an improved offensive line, this crew is not done. Like, the defense is healthy. They're going to keep some guys off the field. The offense is going to get to be on the field a little more. I think we're going to get to see a little more scoring. You got guys like Adam Thielen. You got the younger tight ends, and Tyler Conklin and Irv Smith Jr. These guys are big guys. They're fast guys. They drafted a tight end from Iowa in the draft, and he's really good. very versatile tight end. So I think there's a lot to be promised about the Vikings offense if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. I think that they're a very fantasy football friendly offense. Like if you're looking for something that's going to be consistent. I mean, I had Dalvin Cook last year. He was incredible at like getting high scoring games, like 30, 40 point games. Like you that's tough to find. It's tough to find. So be on the lookout for those two offenses. I think they're going to really surprise people this year. My least fantasy football friendly offenses is the New York Jets and the Oakland Raiders. I'm not sold on the Oakland Raiders because John Gruden his record as a head coach there is not very good. And I think they haven't won more than 4 or 5 games in a season since he's been there. You know, we were all expecting the second coming of John Gruden being the Raiders coach again, but that just hasn't happened yet. And you got a guy like Derek Carr throwing the ball there. I just don't trust the offense there anymore. A lot of weapons have gone away. Josh Jacobs screwed me over in a lot of games in fantasy. I love Josh Jacobs. He's a great running back, but some games he randomly didn't play because of a random injury that came out of nowhere. And some games he played and he just didn't score anything because that's just the state of the Las Vegas Raiders. Or I said Oakland Raiders. They're the Las Vegas Raiders. Like they, yeah, they. I don't know it. The Raiders, man, I don't trust it. I don't trust that offense. And then, I mean, they got Darren Waller, don't they?
Yeah, that's their pride and joy right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a stud, and like, you could probably look at him for some value, but I don't know. I'm not sold on it per se. The other offense I'm going to say I said was the Jets. Like I said earlier, I think the Jets are a team that you want to see have success. You don't want to see a fan base in turmoil for so long and be upset over it for years. But I think the Jets just aren't there yet. I think the Jets need more pieces. I think that they're working on getting pieces, but they're not there yet. Like they need to still keep doing what the Browns did, keep getting pieces, keep signing people, keep working on their trade deadlines. Like keep making moves. You're on the right path. You got a new head coach. You went and drafted a quarterback. Like you got Corey Davis. You're moving in the right direction. I think you're lacking at the other end on wide receiver. I think you're lacking at you got to get some younger guys in there eventually. I think you got to get a younger tight end over there, someone who's been around the league and knows how to play. Like maybe like they were a backup somewhere else and you can go sign them and maybe they begin a career that's prolific in New York. I don't think that's impossible. I just think the Jets need help. I don't know if it's always coaching. I'm starting to wonder with how bad it's been. I'm starting to wonder if it's a front office thing in New York Jets.
Right?
If
Robert Saleh, man, I like Robert Saleh. So let's see. Yeah. Let's hope for the best.
Let's hope for the best. That's where I'm at. But I think with that being said, if you have anything else that you want to bring up, John, I'm open to it. But we're almost out. Probably by the time we release this, like an hour 45.
No, you know what? We can save it. We can save it for next week when we can get Barrett in here. I have some ideas for next time. So we have some good content for next time.
Yeah, and I think that there's more preseason to cover. I think it'll be easy to set a recording date for the week. So, that being said, where can people find you, John? What have you been up to? What's going on?
I've been up to, same old, just working hard. And, you can catch me here on the Sports Zone doing our thing. I haven't been streaming much, but when I do, you can catch me on twitch.tv/The Sauce. I'll be there. Grinding out some World of Warcraft. That's kind of my game right now. So if you guys like Warcraft, come holler.
Heck yeah, man. All right, I'll stay in the call real quick. I'm gonna close out real quick though. All right.
Man, I'm gonna take off then too. Y'all have a good one.
All right. See you later, brother. Much love. Bye. All right, guys. I just want to say thank you for hanging out with us as long as you did. If you made it all the way through, I know it was a little bit of a longer one. We haven't gotten to record for a couple of weeks. This seems to always happen to us, right? We get lost in conversation and we love it. Thanks, Manusi. I really enjoy you being here, so I really appreciate it. So before I leave, make sure you guys check out, and if you're in the chat or even if you're listening, check out Raise Energy. It is a company that has workout supplements and energy drinks. The energy drinks have 0 carbs, calories, or artificial dyes. They are gracious enough to let me use them as a sponsor for my stream, and I do drink their stuff when I'm working out, whether it's a pre-workout, whether it's an energy drink in a can or a to-go packet. They are very good, and there's no crash from these. I can confirm that. I do drink it when I go to work and everything. There isn't a crash. There's liquid technology that makes it so that you don't crash when you're working out or you drink it at all during the day. So, and it really does help me in the mornings. It helps me before my workouts. They have BCAA amino acids in it. They have pre-workouts. So really go check out that Raise Energy as a company. If you do like energy drinks, they're great flavors. This one is called Rainbow, and it's very tasty. It's very good. It smells like cotton candy. It's very delicious. But they have a whole variety of flavors. If you really like it, you can join the Insiders Club, and you can go ahead and get random flavors sent to you, like if you're an ambassador for them. So it's awesome. Check out Player One Coffee while we're on the subject of caffeine. Player One Coffee is a brand where they actually go ahead and they have coffee flavors from light to dark roasts for coffee, and they actually base their flavors off of video games such as First Person Smoother Leroy Jenkins, and they have a subscription box that you can actually go to. And what happens is they send you a monthly box with different flavors of coffee that aren't for sale on their website that only you get. So it's a pretty awesome deal if you like coffee and you like trying different things. So check that out. I think it runs like $20 to $30 a month. If you decide to do that, it's really good stuff, and then you will get a discount at that code. And the last thing is, if you are on Twitch and you're watching, or even if you're just hearing this, check out Nerd or Die. There's a link in my chat and on my About panels. You'll go ahead and get 20% off if you're looking to begin your own podcast or stream channel. You will get 20% off on your purchase, and you will have a great layout with great notifications, and it's for a great price. So that being said, we're going to close out. Thank you for hanging out. I love you all. Thank you for your time. And we will see you on the next episode. See you later.